Tracy and I are at the coal mines today, and we're visiting the main shaft, which is on the top of the hill at the coal mines. And we're going to be talking about the shaft as well as some of the ruins that surround the shaft. And we're going to have a look at all the different features that are up here. There's more than just a hole in the ground. What we're looking at here is the base for the old steam engine that was located here, and in the stone there you can see at the front the cuts where the drum and spur wheels were located, and then behind here was the boiler or pressure vessel, it's sometimes called, was located. The pressure vessel itself is that one over there. It was taken from the mines, but it was returned in 2002. So the machinery sat here, and I'll get a better picture there. And straight in front of me there, on my rope, if you see the two sides of the rope, that would be the approximate area of where the shaft went down, not this massive pit you see now. The shafts then were about 3.6 to 4.5 across, so between my two pieces of string going down there I've got 4.5. So if you can imagine a circular hole there, about 4.5 across, that'll give you an idea when you come here of what the actual shaft looked like originally. From this angle you might be able to see the string going down, so that was approximately where the shaft was located. The pit here, it's quite wide, 18 metres by 14 metres, but back in 1986 it was only 12 metres across. And the difference now is because of the slippage of the banks into the pit, and even though there's reinforcement on the western side, you can probably see here, I'll get a little close up, but on the northern side it's sliding down quite rapidly, and I expect probably in about 6 months time, where that fence is over there, the soil will disappear from under it. Now this was originally a final depth of 90 metres. The reason why this is so big is, one, when they blew it up with the dynamite originally to close it, and then it was open to the public. They had fencing around it, but not as good as what it is now, and public would go down the bottom to try to look for something that would help the sides of the banks here slide down. And now it's just continuing by itself, and heavy rainfall also speeds up the process. So when the coal was removed from the shaft via the steam engine, it was raised to the surface, and then it came up in like large baskets which are placed onto a small trolley, and then they were pushed by the convicts across to here, keeping in mind that there wasn't a big hole, there was only that shaft over there. They were pushed over here by the convicts to this area here between my two rope lines, and on this section here it drops off probably 3 metres, 4 metres. The reason the drop off was here, the coal was screened. They had a screen on its side. The smaller cart would tip the coal onto it, and underneath would be the larger carts. I think they were 1 tonne, and they were waiting below the screen. And then you had an inclined plane, which is basically a track. It may have been on plates, it may have been on timber, which travelled that way down to Plunket Point. I'm standing at the base of that feature where the small coal carts would have came out, and this is approximately where the screen would have been. And the coal was screened, it went into the large carts, and around here there would have been a large horizontal wheel and then another one down at Plunker Point, and the two were connected by rope. So on one side the full carts were hooked up to the rope and they would travel down to Plunker Point, and then on the other side the empty carts were pulled up the hill. The convicts used to do the sorting of that around this area here. The carts, I believe, were 1 tonne. The convicts used to travel on the back of them. They had a brake system, and 1 or 2 convicts used to control the descent down the inclined plane to Plunket Point. Where Gracie's sitting is approximately the top of a spoil dump here. There's a couple of spoil dumps. This is where they dumped all the material that came out of the mine, and it's a very large extended area. We are kind of on the corner of it here, which you can see under me now. It's coal, and then the shaft there is in the distance, so I'm probably 50 metres away from the edge of the shaft. So I think by the looks of things it's fairly flat. They would have run the spoil out on in carts on some type of rails, probably wooden rails, and then it was fed out along these lines you can see here. And they continued to dump and dump. Now there's a hell of a lot of coal on this area here, so this area may have been used as a siding for the coal carts later on. And you can just see there the fence of the shaft. So these this area here continues. It's almost flat minus the vegetation, but it continues over in this direction. And basically around close to where the shaft would have been. To service the steam engine and mine equipment, they had located up here workshops and a blacksmith shop. Old surveys have found some foundations here, but even with my imagination I'm hard pressed to find too much that's left, so I haven't bothered with the rope, etc. But looking around this area here, there's a rather flat depression up here with lots of brick rubble, and then just here we have a large piece of what's known as clinker, which is the waste that come out of the blacksmith's forge. So pretty good guess that if you got that, the blacksmith was located in this area here somewhere. You can access the main shaft by driving up past the entrance to the coal mines, and about 1 kilometre on your right there's a sign. Just head up that dirt road, and then there's a car park up here, and a little track that comes in here. On your left you'll pass this little building here, which is made of stone, and what they believe is this held explosives. This was the first shaft at the mines, coal mines, to use explosive. All the others were dug by hand, and they suspect with this strong stone material it may have been a good place to store the explosives. And behind it is the remains of a brick building, and we're not sure what that was used for. May have something to do with the explosive store, maybe it was the original one, maybe something completely different. The pressure vessel or boiler is quite an impressive feature. It's about 8 metres long and about 1 metre wide, and you really get a sense of the old craftsmanship. It was imported from Edinburgh, Scotland, and how they got it from the boat at the coal mines jetty up here to mount it on the sandstone blocks. I don't know, and it would have certainly been quite an achievement. The engine itself, a 120 horsepower engine, would have been located here on this side of the fence. You can just see the platform, or the remains of the platform of where the engine was. Now, for the boiler to produce steam for the steam engine, you needed water. So behind the shaft itself, you see a depression in the ground here, and this held the water for the boiler, and most of that water would have come out of the shaft itself, because the engine was not only used for lowering and raising the men coal, but it was also used for pumping out water. So, this is a large catchment area, and then on the other side of this there's a little drain channel that heads down that way. Impossible to see, we understand, but it goes right down where we were standing before with the spoil, so that would have drained the excess water off that was coming out of the shaft. So there we have it, the main shaft at the coal mines.